Welcome to Blood and Botany. There are few things I enjoy more than murder mystery stories set in medieval monasteries with a touch of botany. If that sounds niche to you, would you be surprised to know that there is more than one story that fits this description? One of them is my favorite show of all time, Cadfael, based on the books by Ellis Peters, which follow a Welsh Benedictine monk named Cadfael who solves murders using his knowledge as an herbalist. But today I'm going to focus on Umberto Eco's 1980 book, The Name of the Rose. And, just a heads up, this video contains spoilers. In The Name of the Rose, a series of mysterious deaths plagues a Benedictine monastery in 14th century Italy. The victims, all monks, perish under baffling circumstances, and the story's protagonist, a Franciscan friar named William of Baskerville, attempts to find out why. It's only at the novel's conclusion that the truth is revealed. The monks were poisoned by lacing the pages of a book. Each victim, eager to turn the pages of Aristotle's Poetics, unknowingly ingested the poison by licking their fingers. The mastermind behind these sinister acts is Jorge, a fanatical monk who believes the book to be heretical. Now, the difference between Cadfael and William of Baskerville is that Cadfael always identifies the botanical source of the poison in every story. Naturally, the cliffhanger was tearing me apart. What kind of poison could achieve such a deadly effect merely by being absorbed through licking the fingers? Being 13th century Europe, it was likely of plant origin, and this is later confirmed by the monk in charge of the monastery's herbal repository. I had to know.
Pickles, ketchup, wait! Oh, bang, I'm losing it! Bun down.
And this was when, while Googling, I came across an amazing paper from 2020 titled, What Kind of Poison Was Used in the Name of the Rose by Tomasz Konopka from the Department of Forensic Medicine at Poland's Jagiellonian University. I just love that someone else was asking the same questions as me 40 years after the book was published and went so far as to write an academic paper about it. Bravo, Tomasz. I've linked the paper in the description box, by the way, if you want to check it out. So without further ado, let me take you through his findings and explore some of the most lethal plant-derived poisons known to humanity and identify our culprit. Quick note, we don't need to limit our list to plants native to Italy, as the monastery's herbalist later reveals that the poison was brought many years ago by a monk who had traveled to distant lands. So the poison could or could not be locally available, but it would be limited to the Old World.
Nature grows poisons of her own, and sometimes right in your own garden.
Many plants have been known throughout history for their deadly properties. For instance, cowbane, also known as Cicuta verosa, contains cytotoxin, which can kill at a dose of just 500 milligrams. Similarly, water dropwort and cerebroodolum, the so-called suicide tree, have been used for their lethal effects as well. However, these poisons generally require a larger dose to be effective, and this makes them unlikely candidates for our literary murder. Next on our list is hemlock, infamous for being the poison that claimed the life of the philosopher Socrates. Hemlock contains conine, which is fatal at doses as low as 100 to 200 milligrams, but while potent, it's still not quite the quick-acting, low-dose poison we're looking for. What about morphine, found in the opium poppy, like when they fell asleep in The Wizard of Oz?
Poppies will put them to sleep.
And colchicine, from the autumn crocus. Both of these technically are deadly poisons, but they require relatively higher doses, not something that could kill you just from licking your finger. Similarly, the calabar bean, which contains physostigmine, has been used historically as a poison, but it doesn't quite fit the criteria for a rapid, low-dose killer. Now, let's talk about two of the most toxic plants known to man, the St. Ignatius bean and the strychnine tree. Both contain strychnine, a substance with a lethal dose of just 30 milligrams. And while incredibly potent, the symptoms of strychnine poisoning include convulsions and muscle contractions, which don't match the more subtle deaths described in The Name of the Rose, the book, not the movie. There were definitely some more Shakespearean approaches to death acting in the movie. Now for some fungal representation, what about death cap mushrooms? They contain, along with a number of other toxins, ammonite, which is lethal at a dose of just 20 milligrams. However, ammonite takes several days to kill, whereas the monks in Eco's novel died much more rapidly than that. Heading further down the toxic funnel, we have a group of poisons that kill at doses of just around 10 milligrams. Antiarin from the upas tree, atropine from nightshades, digoxin from foxgloves, and strophanthin from the dogbane family. These are all incredibly toxic compounds, but they're not necessarily poisonous to a deadly level through just skin contact or ingestion from licking your fingers. And finally, we find our prime suspect, aconitum, commonly known as monkshood or wolfsbane. This plant contains aconitine, a toxin with a lethal dose of just 2 milligrams, about the weight of a single sugar crystal. Aconitine is known for its rapid and deadly effects, causing symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and respiratory paralysis, the last of which we do see in the film. Most notably, aconitine is potent enough that even minimal contact can be deadly. A few licks of a finger coated with aconitine could be fatal, matching the method of poisoning in The Name of the Rose. Plus, the name Monkshood adds a layer of poetic justice to the story, considering the victims were monks. A little pun from Echo. There's also a historical connection too. Aristotle, whose work is central to the entire plot, was rumored to have died from aconitine poisoning, and this might have been another subtle nod by Eco to historical lore. We also know that Umberto Eco used historical texts and toxicology studies to make his plot more believable. This was a large part of his writing style. He drew inspiration from Matteo Orfila, the father of forensic toxicology, whose 19th century work on poisons, spanning plants, animals, and minerals, was both groundbreaking and meticulously documented. So, there you have it. Aconitine from the monkshood plant emerges as the most likely culprit. I've linked the fantastic research paper that inspired this video in the description box once again. Definitely check it out. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Blood and Botany. Be sure to subscribe and tune in next time as we explore more plant-related lore. Until next time, stay curious and don't lick any mystery plants. Or if you happen to find Aristotle's lost book of poetics, don't lick the pages. Thanks, bye.
Just a touch of some plants will give you a bad skin rash. If you were to eat some of them, they will make you very ill.